Saying a special good morning to those you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Those of you who are viewing us via GBN TV, good morning is the mid-morning buzz here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. Let me say good morning to my guests. Father Paul, good morning to you, sir, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Morning, sir, to Father Paul?
Sorry?
Can I say good morning, sir, to Father Paul? Or should I say good morning, Father Paul?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All right. How are you doing, sir? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. What's about you?
100%.
Very good.
100%.
Oh boy, this is not something we hear regularly.
Yeah, I like to keep my percentage high.
Not too bad. Well, a day, a jamming, you know, that kind of.
Someone told me a long time, refrain from using the word bad.
Yes.
So I always say I'm doing good.
Yes.
So when you put the bad in there, it always mixes things up. That's just a philosophy I follow.
Yes.
So I leave out the word.
Setting a precedent for things to get worse.
Yeah. Nice to have you on a bit morning buzz this morning.
Thank
of course, you're here for Spice Image, of course, the company that you take care of. If I can put it in that particular way. Spice Image. For maybe there folks may have heard about Spice Image and laboratories for years now, from its formation to when you have taken over and so forth. Tell us something about it that we may have been missing for a while.
Oh, so Spice Imaging Center Laboratory, and once we say laboratory, I think that I hope that would remind our listeners and those who don't know, they will be informed, or I'll take the opportunity to inform you that we just do not have a laboratory.
Yeah.
The laboratory is one department of the health clinic. We have radiology, and many people in Grenada would recall that my brother in 2004, 20 years ago, actually, we are celebrating next month the establishment of that organization.
Yes.
And what it brings to mind is the fact that he brought the first CT scan to Grenada. Prior to that, if somebody fell sick, let's say something in the head or in the stomach, in a bad situation, you have to put them in the hospital and put them under observation. The observation can last 2 weeks.
So true.
And health is
that
something.
That sort of transformed the way things were done.
It transformed the
I certainly could remember that from the onset. Being at your first location, that was it a container sort?
It was a trailer, container,
yes. Mm-hmm.
And that was at my church in St. David's until it moved to a car park in the Carnage, and then to its final location, its present location. So in terms of laboratory, what is peculiar about one of the things that is peculiar about the laboratory is that it was the really first private laboratory that was open to the entire Grenadian populace. Prior to that, you may have had somebody with, let's say, a private hospital, and then they have a little laboratory there to serve the clients within the hospital predominantly. But we opened a laboratory to the entire populace, and eventually many other laboratories formed afterwards. Branches from us, and that's just life. Not complaining at all. But what we really want to talk about today is the fact that our laboratory has been accredited to ISO standards. ISO is International Standards Organization. We are accredited to what you call one standard. Every accreditation has a particular standard. So if it is in engineering, if it is in materials, let's say like building material, and you're accredited.
I certainly do understand that. So you get in that particular accreditation. Now, what does it speak of for?
Oh, well, it speaks above all to quality.
Yes.
It's a vote of confidence in the organization, in the laboratory,
and the services that it offers,
and the quality of services. In other words, the services it's saying that our services are at the level of international standard and the highest international standard. So in other words, our laboratory doing a test in the accredited areas, because we have to be honest, we are not accredited in all of the tests.
Yes.
Our laboratory does hundreds of tests. So we have started the process of accreditation. We are accredited in some specific tests.
Right.
So it means to say that at our level, if you go to Europe, to the United States, to Canada, anywhere in the world, and find another accredited laboratory, our standards are as high as the highest you can get, and even better than other accredited laboratory in the so-called first world. You know, we have the tendency to talk about the first world, and we are not called the second world, we are called the third world. That means we are gaps behind, they're saying. But I mean, it's with great pride that we find ourselves in that situation, because we are competing with the international.
And in a Grenadian economy as we are, and a small island as Grenada, what makes Spice Limited stand out for being able to be accredited in that particular?
Because we are the first. The first to be accredited, not only in Grenada, at ISO 15189 is the standard, 2012 standard. We are the first in the OECS. We are the first in Barbados and Trinidad. To be accredited to that standard.
I mean, that's good to hear. That's good to hear, because not always you hear, especially with the issues that we hear in health in Grenada today, and having an institution like yours that have received that level of accreditation, it speaks a lot of volumes there. How does it make you feel, sir?
Well, I feel very happy. I feel very happy. I feel very happy, first of all, for the Grenadian people. Because my brother, when he started his business, and I said, as you remember, it was in radiology, but when he started, right at the start, his mission vision statement spoke to world-class standard services. And I know he made every effort to give the high standard of service. So we just kind of continued on that trajectory, and it makes us feel a lot of pride in our country, because that is not just a Spice Isle achievement; that's an achievement for Grenada. And so, for example, if you are going to the United States, England, anywhere for health services, for medical services, and you bring your laboratory test in our accredited areas, you do not have to bother about doing the test over.
Do it again.
The norm is that your test are just done over.
That's
the point. Because, we're coming from the third world, they're not expecting standard. But we are now on the ISO website. It shows that we are world class, and even tourists coming to Grenada. These days we talk a lot about medical tourism. Tourists coming to Grenada can feel happy that they can come to a laboratory and they can go back home.
Continue on par with all the international
standards. Of course, they can go back home with their test accepted, and not just accepted as being accepted by an authority, but also knowing that you have the best that you can get anywhere in the world. So for the purposes of your own health, for your own improvement, for your own well-being, for your own healing, that's a plus.
Tell me about the process of obtaining that accreditation. How did the process start for you?
So it's a very rigorous process, as you can imagine. Actually, we began the process in 2018.
2018. So it took that long.
It need not take that time, but again, we didn't even know who, where, what to go to. So we began searching I remember one of the very first meetings we had was at the Bureau of Standards, Mr. Medford, who I believe is still in charge of the bureau there. And the bureaus, thankfully the bureaus, they themselves receive accreditation in industrial matters, tests and so on. And so they were able to give us that kind of formative test. But then it was a long process juggling through even to actually find an accrediting organization. We came upon TT Labs in Trinidad. We came upon.
Was it still limited to in terms of what they offer to get it on a local or regional level?
You mean?
Well, you said, okay, it started for you in 2018, and you said it went to the Bureau of Standard. That's Grenada. That's the Grenada leg.
Yeah.
Grenada leg.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming there was still a limited in terms of what they can always.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the Grenada Bureau of Standards were really able just to point us to where we should go and what we should. There's an organization called CrossQ. I don't know how active it is now, but it is, I think it comes under CARICOM. It was an effort to accredit labs across the Caribbean and so on and so forth. So they pointed us to CrossQ and so on and so forth. But eventually we came upon TT Labs that does accreditation and JANAC, the Jamaican National Accreditation Agency, which is it's a statutory body under the state. And the whole process is very rigorous, as I said, and we had to deliberate which are the two agencies we were going to use. We found out that the Jamaican one is more international, if you like. It's really at the very highest level. Recognition is so at the very highest level. As a matter of fact, they have changed their name recently to JANAC. So JANAC is the Jamaican National Accreditation agency, but they now change the name to JANAC Global because they are now accrediting organizations out of the Caribbean region. Yes, so they have called themselves Global. The process involves a lot of documentation. Yeah. So, for example, if you have to do a test, you have to say now all the details of all the stages, everything that has to be done to get that test done. Yes. And then you have to prove, the documentation is not just a one-time thing. Okay. You have to prove that you are following the documentation. Right. So even errors that you make in the process must be recorded and must be presented to the accrediting organization. It's a thing about truth. And, people going to feel bad. Oh, boy, I make a mistake and look, it's going here and it's going there. No, it's not that. We learn from our mistakes, and that's the philosophy, and that's the great truth that you get out of it. You learn from your mistakes, and you learn how not to keep on making the same mistakes, because human beings can make the same mistakes.
You learn from your mistakes and get better at what you do.
That's the point. Yeah. So it's a very long process, and then you had to have rigorous process, as I said. When you get to that stage where you present your documentation, heap of documentation, to the accrediting organization, and they would have to go through your documents. We even prior to that went through the process where you had to do a gap analysis, to see, where we are falling short, the whole areas that we fall in, go back and work on it until eventually we present the final documents. The documents are accepted and so on and so forth. And then they send their technicians to do an audit of your work. And they actually go to look at your technicians working at the laboratory. Work has 3 stages. You have the pre-analysis, you have the analysis, and you have the post-analysis. So they go right through those stages, observe your people at work, question them in detail, and so on and so forth. Because you see, accreditation is not, it's about quality, of course, but it's about the quality of your instruments. So if you accredit with this particular instrument, you can't use another instrument and say that the result that you give is an accredited result.
Everyone will give different results.
That's the point. That particular, you're accredited to that particular institution. But also, it's about the personnel. It's about the quality of the product, that the personnel is able, in other words, competency on a consistent basis. And that's why the training is so important. It's so rigorous. It's so detailed. Because, we human beings, you don't want a situation in which you have in a laboratory Tom, Dick, and Harry doing tests, doing the processes, the analyses, of the samples that come to them. Yes, a sample of blood, of urine, of feces, of whatever comes, spittle, and whatever come to them. And Tom tests and give one result, and Dick tests and gives another result. And Harry gives another result. That's where accreditation brings you. It brings you to the standard that you don't have to worry whether it's your friend or this good technician testing today or this reputable technician. Everybody
should be giving you the same result.
Gives you the same result.
So Tom shouldn't be giving you an A, B, or C.
No.
Everybody should be at an A level always, and that's where the accreditation level stands on.
That's the point. But also, it has to do with an aspect of our human nature as well. You take, for example, I mean, we talk about somebody getting up on the wrong side this morning or sleeping on the bad side of their whatever today, and then they wake up in a bad mood this morning. So accreditation also militates against the human tendency to operate. I'm feeling good today, so I work good, I do my job excellent. No. You are following processes that you have to follow to a T.
Even though you had a bad day.
Even if you have a bad day. Even if you have tabanka today. And tabanka could go on for a damn long time, quite a while.
So it doesn't matter your feelings. Once you follow that same process, you should bring out the same results.
The instruments have to be at the level, the environment, the temperature, everything has to be right. And all of that has to be checked. Your machines have to be properly calibrated and so on and so forth. All of that goes into the works. And the thing about accreditation, and it's really, I get excited about it, even when I had known very little, just the word accreditation, knowing the meaning of it, you get excited about it because you know that you understand from it you can be consistently accurate at the results you give, because people's lives you deal with. People's lives you deal with.
And the accuracy of results will bring down the tendency of what someone would feel. Because someone getting a result that tells them how they feel can make it a difference in how they will feel.
That's the point. Right. As well as, remember, in the health landscape, it's a collaborative effort.
Yes.
So you go to your doctor. Your doctor recommends certain tests.
Yes.
Now your doctor needs accuracy in order to figure out what is happening to you, and to figure out whether to give you medication, what kind of medication to give, what quantity of the medication to give you, or whether to recommend something else or to recommend further tests, maybe not in the area of, it may well be in the area of lab tests or other tests, and to actually put your doctors in the place where they can make the best and the most accurate diagnosis of your situation in order to make further recommendations for your healing.
So it's always recommended for individuals. So for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, so it's like telling them, hey, go into a particular institution that is have the proper the international standard of course of accreditation is always the best.
Yes, to be honest, I'm not saying that because we are accredited. As a matter of fact, process of accreditation, there is the comparative processes that you do with other laboratories. So if you have, let's say we are doing a test a particular test, let's say CBC. CBC is one of the areas. Complete blood count is one of the areas that we are accredited in now. So then now you need to have, they call it EQUAS.
Yes.
EQUAS, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the word exactly right now. Yes. EQUAS, yeah. And so it's a comparative process that you go through, and you're doing certain amount of these comparative tests every year to see what does your level match up to the level of labs, or even on a higher basis. So that is critical. Right. It gives you a sense that you are up there. And so we always wanted to do our comparisons. We'd always be happy to do our comparisons with the highest quality labs. Here in Grenada and in the region, it was difficult to get the accredited labs. But if you're doing your test, your comparison is against. As a matter of fact,
who's on par with the standard?
We are doing. We have done tests.
Yeah.
Quite in Canada.
Yeah.
In Ontario, not Ontario, some other state, I believe it was. Yes, some other state. Even difficult to ship the samples there and blah blah blah. But the point is that you want to do your comparison with an accredited lab.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this to say. Just to accentuate your point, to the point that what you want to do is to be with the highest quality, and the highest quality is measured by the standards that you follow. And you see, the thing is that again, so many points coming in my head. Accreditation is not just a certificate that you get, a badge. Oh, Spice Oil, we are accredited. It is a continuing process of assessment. And in April next year, the auditors are due to come back to us. And your accreditation can be taken from you.
Yeah.
So we have to have the internal processes on to make sure that we're always keeping up.
So it's on a continuous
to the
basis,
highest
whatever
standard.
you do, and maintaining that standard always.
So to be honest, I feel a little flattered by that, but to be honest, the fact is that if one wants to go to a laboratory and there is an accredited laboratory and there is another laboratory or a series of laboratories that are not accredited, the wisdom dictates that you go to the accredited laboratory.
It's understandable.
Yes.
It's like anything that you do, you always seek the best.
Yes, I agree with you. You know, I like to think of it like, you know, even somebody to cut your yard.
Yeah.
You want the best. You don't want somebody jappa cutting your yard.
Exactly.
Somebody taking care of your house. That's the point. You want somebody to clean, tidy your house. And it's not to be taken for granted, even what we're going to call menial task. Far less the far more complicated and nuanced task where it involves a lot of studies and a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of experience and so on. You want to have the best, and you have the best in an accredited
and an
laboratory.
individual performing those tasks should have that proper know-how as always.
That's the point.
Sometimes I like to speak in the simpler terms.
Sure.
You know, having that normal know-how makes life easier for you as an individual.
Sure.
Father Paul, I want to thank you a whole lot for coming and sharing information this morning. I hope all listening and viewing audience this morning will be happy to know that we have a laboratory in Grenada that is of that particular standard, accredited to that international standard. So we don't need to worry. Because, you know, from time to time, folks may get medical results and they may have to travel with it. And when they get there, it may not be received for various reasons, thinking, well, it's not at the standard that we want.
Right.
That could be a thing of the past.
Sure. It is, in fact, a thing of the past, especially as we multiply the number of tests. By April next year, please God. So the area that we dealt with is an area called hematology. That's how we began. That's where we have begun. We have begun now working on chemistry and serology and other tests. So the range of accredited tests from Spice Oil Imaging Center will be manifold, multiplied, manifold come April next year, please God, because the point is that we don't want to give you here and not able to give you there. I want to use the opportunity as well, if you give me, to really thank the people of Grenada who have supported our work and our services over the years and continue to do that and continue to express that confidence in us by repeating, coming back again and again. Without you, and that's honest, that's no old talk, without your business, we would not even be in existence.
This would be impossible.
We wouldn't even be in existence, far less to talk about being able to be accredited. Accreditation is costly. That's why a lot of people don't venture there at all. They do their best, but they don't venture. I mean, it's cost tens of thousands of US for us to get accredited. But we are an organization, we believe in putting our money where our mouth is. And so we have made the commitment. We have we have made the commitment and we have done it. And, one of the first questions, we had a press conference on Monday announcing the accreditation. And one of the first questions one of the journalists asked was, well, if it costs us so much, what is going to happen to our prizes? Yeah. That's a very valid question. Very valid question. I want to assure our listeners that any increase will be very minimal, and we want to remain competitive even among our other competitors. But not only that, we are very, very conscious of the state of the economy, how people are struggling. In the past 10 years, I have been in Spice Isle Imaging Center. It has been the legacy of my brother as well to have had the experience of so many people when they have to do a lab test or something like that. Family members have to chip in, and sometimes they're scrunching to make it. You have to give them a discount. We're very, very aware of the human condition, and that means that we're not going to be exploiting people in any way or fighting to make money. And my philosophy of money is always, when you give great service, money will always be there. Once people are happy, they're going to come back, and you're going to do well. So I have a little analogy that I like to give. I say, if your price is high, then you can only get the 10 persons who could afford it daily. Now, if your price can meet the pockets of just about everybody, you $10. 10 persons at $10 is $100 for your day. But if you can't take in 200 persons because you're rich in their pocket, then you're able to charge $2 and still come away with $400.
It's a simple analogy, but then it speaks volumes. Sure. All right, I want to thank you once again for being on the Mid-Morning Buzz and sharing the information this morning. And once again, it's happy to hear, of course, the laboratory of that standard here in Grenada. It speaks volumes for Grenada as a whole, and it makes lives a whole lot easier, especially where probably there's individuals who are living out there in the diaspora hearing about that, and wanting to come back to Grenada and be thinking that I may have to do these tests and so forth. Knowing that you have an accredited, of course, laboratory here that can perform.
And even when you come on holidays.
You can say, well, I don't have to rush back to because I can get what I need to have done right here in Grenada. Father Paul, thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. I wish a very well day for even the sick people that are listening to us. That you feel a little little better.
Well, news of that nature. I used to have my mom who used to just like to go to the doctor, just to go, and then she feels better.
Wow.
To hear nothing is wrong with her.
Very good.
All right. Hey, folks, thanks once again for being with us here on the Mid-Morning Buzz. Join us again for another edition. That's where we say goodbye.